Peterbrook families, this is a video put together by Mrs Hashty and myself to welcome all of our children back to school and to show you some of the very slight differences that will be in place. First of all, we have our entrance to school.
If you'd like to have a look at the floor, what we've done is we've marked out 2 metre spaces, so as when you come in you will be suitably spaced out. I'm sure you've all seen this in the supermarkets and shops over the past few weeks, and obviously we want to do the same at Peterbrook to make sure all of our Peterbrook family stay safe. So when you arrive at school, you will be, obviously at different times because it's staggered, you will be spaced out, and then you will go onto the playground where Mrs Burke and I will direct you to which pod you're going to be in.
Follow us. You will be met by Mrs Hashty and myself. At that point, we will direct you to where your pod will be gathering. That is different from your year group line, but there's no need to be worried. Mrs Hashty and I will be able to direct you straight to your pod.
And it might be the case that it isn't your class teacher, but we know that you're going to be super sensible and have a great time. So, let's have a look what it'll look like when we line up in our pods ready to go in.
Yeah.
And here you can see Mr Hughes and Mr Rowe busily measuring out the playground so they've got the spaces ready for you to stand safely. Mr Rowe, would you like to say hello to the children?
Hey guys, how you doing? Hopefully seeing you all soon. Stay safe.
So each pod will be given a specific place to line up, and as we've said, Mrs Burke and I will direct you. For example, this one is going to be a year 1 pod, and you'll look for your sign and Mrs Burke and I will help you, and then you will line up suitably spaced out. If you look at the markings on the floor, you can see that you're spaced 2 metres apart, ready for your pod teacher to take you in. Shall we go in, Mrs Burke?
Yes, let's. To keep us all safe, you will notice that our corridors have been marked out with a one-way system. Each corridor has been split into half with arrows showing you which way to walk on each half. Also, each year group has been allocated their own toilets. So for instance here, we have toilets for pod 3 and pod 4.
Your teacher will tell you which toilet to use, so please don't worry about that. And if you try and remember, you keep to the left, but if you're not quite sure which the left is, just look at the direction of the arrows to help you. Shall we go into the classroom now?
When you return to school, we will not be using our cloakrooms. You will bring your coat, lunchbox and water bottle into the classroom with you.
Oh, Mrs Burke. Also, it's very important to remember when anybody comes into the classroom, we're asking them all to sanitise their hands. So there will be a bottle of sanitiser very near to the door. We've got one here. There we go. So we're keeping ourselves safe. Sorry, Mrs Burke.
So one squeeze and a rub across the whole of your hand, front and back, in between your fingers, and then you're clean and safe. Right, we're here in 2H. You will notice that we have far less tables, and that's because we're in smaller groups. Each child will be allocated a workstation. At that workstation, they will have a seat for themselves. They will then have a chair for their coat, lunchbox and drinks bottle, and they'll have an individual equipment tray. All of that will be just for the sole use of the child at this desk.
And it's really important, children, not to share the resources. We're giving you your own resources just for your use, which is really important. So, shall we talk about what's going to happen at break and lunchtime, Mrs Burke?
Lovely. Each pod will be issued their own break time and their own lunch time. For breaks and lunch, we also have not only our inside pod, which is our classroom space, but we also have our outside pod, which is for all your outdoor learning or your outdoor play. And we'll have a look at those on our route through.
Just one more thing to mention, that lunchtimes might be a bit different because we're going to be eating them in the classroom. And one of the members of staff that will be in your pod will be with you, and as well as a lunchtime supervisor. And then after you've finished your lunch, you will go outside, as Mrs. Burke said, to your allocated pod to hopefully enjoy the sunshine if it continues. And outside, we've come outside now, and you can see that Mr. O, Mr. Hughes and Mr. Randall have been very, very busy setting up our pods. So what we've got here are 2 plastic markers, you can see, and it's got a number on it, pod 14. So you'll be told which pod you're in, and your teacher will show you where that pod is, and you can see around the edges there's some lines marked out. That's just to keep everybody safe. So if I'm in pod 14, this is the space I can play in.
Here we have a bag of our outdoor equipment that's going to be assigned to each pod. You will be allowed to play with the equipment in your pod. That equipment will be cleaned every evening, so it will, as you return to school each day, will be completely sanitised, so it will be safe. However, if your equipment does go out of your pod, across the field, or lands in another pod, then that equipment will be taken away from that session because your classroom teachers will need to make it safe again for you to use.
Well, I think that's probably all we've got time for. So we just want to say we're really, really looking forward to seeing you all. I know it's going to be very, very different, but I'm sure, being the Peterbrook family that we are, we will get through this and we'll have fun as well. So thank you all for all your hard work. Remember, we've got to stay safe. Mrs. Burke, would you like to add anything?
Looking forward to seeing you all back at school. We have missed you all immensely, and our buildings are just waiting for the children to return.
Bye.
Bye.